Salve pessoal, beleza? PapaiUrso, daqui 9, 8 minutos vai estar começando aí a live dos desenvolvedores para vermos o que vai chegar aí. Ferro e Cinzas, novo update, vai estar chegando aí às 2 horas da tarde. Papai tá aqui no trampo, então possivelmente eu não vou falar muito aí na hora da live, mas fica atento aí às novidades que vai ser reveladas aí nesta live dos desenvolvedores. Então, já vou dando meu salve aí, o pessoal que tá chegando, Igor, Eduardo, Intrudemet, eu acho que é isso, Intrudenet, Rodrigo, Leidson, pessoal aí da Twitch, salve, salve a todos aí, e vamos lá, vamos esperar, vamos ver o que vai chegar aí de novidades. Coisa interessante agora, pessoal, que essa live também, eu não sei se é a primeira vez, eu tava conversando até com um colega meu aqui, é a primeira vez que a PlayStation está transmitindo a live aqui do Destiny, dos desenvolvedores, como se fosse realmente agora estúdio, foi incorporado mesmo aí aos estúdios do PlayStation. Se você for lá na PlayStation, tá lá também a live sendo transmitida no canal do PlayStation. Primeira vez que eu vejo isso. Vamos lá, vamos ver. Salve, salve, Aaron. Nicolai Carpatia, safado. Aí, vem traduzir isso aqui pra nós. Não tô ansioso não, mano. Tô não. Quero ver só algumas mudanças aí que vão ser feitas, mas ansioso mesmo assim não tô não. Tranquilo. Edmilson. Salve, salve. Pois é, Edmilson, a primeira vez que eu vejo lá a transmissão também sendo feita lá no canal do PlayStation, mano. Olha, esse é um sinal aí que coisas estão mudando ali dentro, hein? Alô, Ana. Sidney, salve, salve. Marcos. Tomara, viu? Tomara, Nicola. Tomara que manda todo mundo embora e deixa só os competentes. Tomara. Salve, salve, Vogress, tá aí na Twitch. Pessoal da Twitch também, conosco. Rafael. Vamos ver. Vamos ver, né? Qual vai ser aí as revelações. Eu juro que tentei colocar uma IA aqui para traduzir a live para vocês, pessoal, mas eu não consegui. Não dei conta. Foi terrível. Mas eu quero fazer isso para ter a tradução ao vivo aí para vocês, mas não consegui dessa vez. Mas tá muito intuitivo, não precisa nem de muita tradução não. As próprias imagens já diz por si só. Você acha que vai vir supernova agora? Será que eles vão? Um tipo de supernovo? Eu tô mais esperando, cara, que no futuro, não sei se agora o Ferro e Cinzas vai ter essas atualizações, mas eu espero que no futuro a Bungie dá um jeito nas atividades do jogo, mano. A Bungie tem que dar um jeito nas atividades do jogo. A Bungie praticamente deixou 90% das atividades do jogo parada, sem fazer nada, e 10% ficou só no portal, que é muito pouco. Muito pouco aquelas atividades ali. Você tem raids que ninguém tá fazendo mais raids, que não compensa. O que você vai ganhar com raid? Você não tem mais masmorras sendo feitas, atividades extra dos planetas, tá tudo jogado, tudo largado. Eu tô mais preocupado com isso, com essas atividades, do que praticamente aí a Ferro e Cinzas. esperando que ela resolva este problema, porque tá complicado. Você virou praticamente o jogo virou uma corrida para você pegar um loot alto não, uma evolução alto. Nível de poder alto. Só isso, mais nada. Mais nada. Ousa, aí. Então eu espero realmente que a Band resolva esse problema. Tá complicado, cara. Pra quem tá evoluindo aí no poder 350 ou chega no 400 como eu cheguei, mano, é um tormento. Boa tarde, Matheus. É um tormento você ficar 400 tentando fazer uma missão e esperando um primitivo cair lá pra você evoluir um ponto. Ela falou que vai resolver agora no Ferro e Cinzas. Agora vai ter um update aí que vai resolver esse problema e, teoricamente, é bem-vindo. Você não vai depender mais de porcentagem. Fez lá uma pontuação, 1.250.000, se não me engano lá, você já vai ter o item no final. Você evoluir. Já é uma novidade fenomenal, já vai melhorar. Mas só isso não resolve. E as atividades? Fala, Thiago. Daqui a pouquinho, 1h, começa essa transmissão, pessoal. Eu sei que o jogo tem que ter também a liberdade para você fazer tudo no solo, mas, pô, Band, o que a Band fez nessa temporada foi terrível. Penalizou você jogar de esquadrão. Onde você já viu isso? Exatamente, Nicolai. Mataram o mundo antigo, meter um portal que a ideia é excelente, tá? Não confundam, tá? Quando nós estamos reclamando, o pessoal pensar, não, então quer dizer que o portal foi uma merda, foi uma bosta? Não, pessoal. Os tiers de armas, de armaduras, o portal em si, tudo é bem-vindo. Tudo é ótimo. Mas a forma que foi implementado, meu amigo, a Band, terrível. Salve, Lorde. A forma que a Band implementou o portal que foi terrível. O Lorde, o Denil, se o Lorde for assistir, eu poderia colocar ele no Discord para ele comentar. Lorde é craque no inglês, ele poderia estar comentando. O que você acha? Pergunta ele aí se ele quer fazer isso. Eu coloco ele aqui, ele vai comentando. Ele que é o mestre, doutor na língua inglesa, um Lorde lá, ó, no Reino Unido. Se ele tiver afim, eu coloco ele aqui no Discord. Pergunta aí se ele tá afim de fazer isso. Aí eu coloco ele e deixo você mutado. Porque você na sua loja é complicado. Muitas pessoas. Aí falou que só vai dormir. Ele não tá afim, não. Bom, vamos lá.
All right. Hey, everybody. Hey, Guardians. Welcome. My name is Dylan. I'm going to be your host today. And happy 11-year anniversary to Destiny 1's launch. I wanted to make sure to cover that at the very top because it's kind of mind-melting. 11 years of Destiny. Had no idea we'd be here. Today we have a ton to talk through, so we're going to rush through this. No, we aren't going to rush. But we have Renegades. We have some really cool stuff to talk about that's going to be coming in December. We have a wonderful update from our development team. We've been listening. We're looking at your feedback, and we actually have some plans that are coming together right now to address it since Edge of Fate launched. And then we also have, on the second half of the show, we're going to be looking at Ash and Iron. We'll have a bunch of devs on the couch. We're going to talk about the activities, the loot, and potentially a new exotic that you might have been asking about. So without further ado, Robbie, how you doing? Welcome back to the couch.
Hey, Dylan. It's great to be here. And like you were talking here in the intro, like we've got some really big changes coming based on all the feedback we've been getting from the Edge of Fate that we'll talk about right after we give a little bit of a first look at Renegades here. And that's why we got our laptops, right? There's a lot to get through and there's a lot to talk about. So we're just got to Dylan and I are making sure we're going to get through it all. So we've been hard at work on collaborating with our friends at Lucasfilm Games to make something that is like unmistakably Star Wars, but authentically a Destiny story and experience. And so today we get to start pulling back the curtain on that.
And I'm going to embrace my inner Scarrow and ask, Robbie, is there a Vidoc?
Yeah, so you all asked for it. You're going to get it. We're about to play a Vidoc that is our first look at the Lawless Frontier. You're stepping into a world of criminals, shady deals, with an arsenal at your disposal that you'll only be able to find within a black market here that's emerged within Seoul. And so, yeah, let's take our first look at Renegades.
Seeing how stunningly Star Wars it felt was electric.
I just jumped into that walker and I just annihilated the encounter.
Squeezing that trigger and feeling that blaster just go off, it was like a whole new world opened up for me.
There's something really special here that we haven't really done in Destiny before.
That ignition, that hiss, that sound.
Oh, it's like that. Okay.
We begin in the shadow of a prophecy that says our end is already written. It's here we draw a line in the sand, where we start the long journey to fight our fate. In Renegades, Guardians infiltrate a criminal underworld to save a friend whose past has caught up with him and disrupt the rise of powerful new enemies. In special collaboration with Lucasfilm Games, we took inspiration from Star Wars to craft a one-of-a-kind Destiny story. Renegades redefines what an expansion can be. It brings the grit, guns, and glory of a space western to Destiny. But Renegades isn't just about power. It's about what you're willing to risk to change the future.
Tem que vir robô do Star Wars para ter inimigo diferente. Ah, meu Jesus.
Great collaborators. They understood that in order for this to work, we had to find where the Venn diagram of our two stories meet. Themes of underdogs rising up against something much larger than themselves. Themes of hope. Those little places in that Venn diagram were the ones that really helped us find the story that we want to tell together.
If you look at Star Wars and you look at Destiny, you can kind of see that parallel that exists. So for instance, our Dredgen, they're our Sith.
Pretty Sithy.
Yeah, and then you've got the Barrett Imperium, and they are very, very Empire-like.
Yes.
They have a huge appetite for expansion.
I think of the Praxic Order. They're our Jedi in this release, and they are very focused on order and law and understanding that there is a binary in our universe of good and evil. We get to poke at that a little bit in a way that suits our story and our world, while still feeling very much like the inspiration that we're calling from. Edge of Fate leaves us with a really big pass forward into the future.
Pessoal, vamos ter aí até os cabais agora com vestimenta de Jedi. Vai existir, né?
And Drifter was there on Kepler. He saw all of this.
Not running from this one.
Drifter is convinced that there's a connection between the Nine and the rise of this new faction, the Barrett Imperium. He sees them rising at an unnaturally fast rate and is insistent that there's a problem. But the Vanguard isn't listening. They're insisting that he needs to stand down.
The cool thing about this criminal underworld is you and Drifter and your crew, you come in at the bottom. And at the top, there's the Barrett Imperium. You need to work with all these crooked criminal syndicates in between, earning your power, building up the notoriety, getting the gear that you need to take down that powerful Imperium at the top.
Uma nova facção, né, dos cabais.
That the Barrett Imperium have made, and we need to be the ones to destroy it.
Praticamente, exata, ela tem relação com os novos.
So we're going to head out to the lawless frontier and one
a nova facção dos cabais.
take down the Imperium.
Vai ter essa nova facção.
The lawless frontier is filled with big, chaotic, cooperative activities.
O Derivante tá atrás de tudo, né?
Choose the job, you're going to choose which renegade abilities you're going to take into those jobs, and then you're going to drop into the
Controlando a fronteira,
and then get out or die trying.
É. Não vai mudar, né, Denilson? Vai ser os Vex mesmo, né? Muda. Você tá brincando comigo, né, Alexandre? Eu fazer tradução, não sei nada de inglês não, meu amigo. Calma aí, só vendo aí. O meu amigo que sabe, não quer falar, ele tá com vergonha. Ele tá com vergonha de falar, de traduzir, não sei porquê. Ele falou que tá com vergonha de traduzir, pessoal. É isso.
And then you either matchmake with people online, you take your crew with you, you can play solo. Every time you drop in, you might be in a different location on the map. Your objectives are going to be a little different each time, and it also might be a different time of day, so there's a lot of variety and richness with these activities. We want them to be highly replayable.
Se quiser, eu coloco.
Along the way, we're going to throw a bunch of curveballs. You might run into a missile tower that's trying to take
eu tô
you out
colocando baixo. Agora, se você quiser deixar alto, eu deixei agora.
And take it out, and you get some extra credits out of that.
Então, eu vou colocar o senhor falando e vou colocar alto aqui.
Call your ship in.
Vou colocar ele
All
aqui
hell
agora,
drops
pessoal.
in on your head from the Cabal. Your ship flies in. You hop aboard and you got exfil.
Não tem problema se atrasar.
Over the course of the campaign and deep into the post-game of Renegades, you're going to be unlocking and earning a bunch of different Renegade abilities.
We've got things like airstrikes, Cabal drop pods, vehicles like the Cabal walkers, interceptors, swoop bikes, turrets. We've got 9 abilities, 7 upgrades. There's a ton of stuff that you can bring in and just change how things play.
It's like a tech tree of options.
It's like a whole tree of options across support, defensive, and offensive abilities. So the player's going to have a lot to play with here.
The Lawless Frontier isn't just about raw power. It's about influence. Shady backroom deals, working for these powerful syndicates and against them at different times. And all of this takes place at the heart of the criminal underworld in Tharsis Outpost.
Tá me ouvindo agora aí?
The Vanguard have been preoccupied. They've been off saving the world, and they haven't been looking at Tharsis. It's changed a lot since the last time we were there.
It's now this thriving black market, this criminal underworld. Tharsis Junction became Tharsis Outpost. If you have an unsavory job that you need done, you can find it at Tharsis Outpost.
Tharsis Outpost feels appropriate for both Star Wars and for us. When we looked at Mos Eisley as inspiration, we knew that we could play in that playground in a really fun way. From the ghosts that you'll see floating around to one Elixni with all 4 of his Elixni arms shaking up drinks. We took that inspiration and we found the Destiny spin on it. Criminal syndicates have moved in.
You're working with the syndicates. You are building your notoriety with them.
The 3 different syndicates that we created, we're going to be dealing with. The Pikers are Elixni. They're kind of like an anarchist biker gang. Unlike other Elixni, they're atheists. They don't worship machines. They follow relics. We've also got the Totality Division, a subsect of the Barrent Imperium. They're run by Scions, and their enforcer Rao is going to be the leader of this group. And we've got Tharsis Reformation. They are a breakaway group from Maya's Vex. They're starting to think for themselves and figure out what it means to be an individual.
They're starting to do crime. They're wearing clothes.
Crime and wearing clothes are what all individuals do. We need to have new people to fight and new people to root for. And this was our opportunity.
But the heart of the Renegade fantasy is not just surviving the Lawless Frontier. It's garnering influence and building your power so that you can bend it to your will.
In the end game, you get the best weapons, the best armor, the coolest exclusive cosmetics. You're going to need to work with the syndicates to increase your notoriety by completing jobs successfully alone or with the crew, and then doing so you'll unlock our highest risk, highest reward jobs, and at the same time you're going to have the ability to do the special job that'll take you off planet to the dungeon. And you'll also unlock Invasion.
That's right, Invasion is back, but this doesn't work like Gambit. It's opt-in. The invader has some initiative when invasion begins. This is more strategic.
You scan the battlefield and you're like, okay, is this the right time for me to take the shot? And what's the right tool for me to do it? Do I use an airstrike or a vehicle? Do I use a cabal walker.
Just watch out for that double cross.
Yeah.
Nossa, eu vou sair invasão. Bagulho gatinho. Acabou de falar que as invasões estão de volta. Quem jogou Dash não vai saber.
Renegades marks the Guardian's descent into a criminal underworld.
As invasões pra você.
A world of shadows and syndicates, where your light and your choices will cut a path forward. You'll fight dirty, break the rules, and build a hardened crew that can take on any job, standing up to the most ruthless syndicates in the system.
Os guardiões vão entrar no mundo organizado.
Even in the darkest corners of this world, there's still a glimmer of hope. Guardians will have to find their own version of balance between loyalty and survival, between power and purpose. Because there's more at play than credits and contracts. Forces are on the move, ones that see you not just as a player, but as a piece on the board. To change the future, you'll have to become the one thing they never saw coming.
Ok, você vai ter que escolher uma facção e tentar ser o mais honrado possível pra ver
Start the
qual você vai
engines.
escolher o melhor.
Take off as soon as you can.
Na verdade vai, né? Mas eventualmente
All right, welcome back. Sorry, I love Vidocs. I gotta stop looking at chat. Let's get the show on the road. So pre-orders for the new Renegade Standard Edition start right now. And we actually have some added bonuses. Even if you pre-ordered the, what do we got? Year of Prophecy Edition, we have 2 additional cosmetics that are going live today with the patch. The Starside Introduction Emblem and a new exotic ship, which we call the Renegade Leader. You're going to see it on the screen right now, and I'm going to ask a silly question. What are we looking at?
I mean, I think we're kind of looking at something that looks like an X-Wing here a little bit, maybe a little red leader action. So, I mean, this is one of our homages, right? That's the team had a lot of fun with. So we wanted to build like an iconic ship, Dylan, that kicked off the road to Renegades here over the next few months. And what's cool about this is you're actually going to see your ship, whatever ship you have equipped, that's going to be flying by when you deploy your Renegade abilities in the Lawless Frontier. And also, you're going to be using your ship to go between different areas within the Plaguelands here in the Reclaim activity that's launching today as well.
Awesome. So with pre-orders talked about, let's dive into the Vidoc. Robbie, where are we starting?
Yeah, so I think it's like probably best. There's so much like to do a really kind of quick overview of what we looked at here. So Renegades thrust you and your crew into the heart of a lawless frontier that's emerged around Mars, Europa, and Venus, all new locations across those places. And you're trying to keep up with Drifter, ultimately, who's chasing startling visions of calamity and rumors of a powerful new Cabal faction that's rising, the Barren Imperium. The Imperium's installed themselves as top dog in the criminal underworld, and Drifter's convinced that the Nine is involved with the Imperium's rapid growth. It wouldn't be the first time the Nine have meddled in the background and done some crazy things with Cabal-related enemies. Anyway, so to deal with the Imperium, you're going to take on the role of a renegade. As a guardian, you're going to smuggle, sabotage, bounty hunt your way to the top of the lawless frontier, and that means you're going to be working with the shady syndicates to build your influence within Tharsis. But ultimately, like this is for the right reason. You're being the bad guy to do the right thing because you can't really ignore this prophecy of extinction that showed up at the end of Edge of Fate. Yeah.
So, I mean, you mentioned Drifter. We have a pretty stellar cast here, and there was a new character that we showed off in there.
Yeah, we showed one of our new characters. That's a new member of your crew who comes from the Praxis Order, actually. And they've been tasked with tracking down reports of dredging activity across the Lawless Frontier. And they've also been tasked with keeping an eye on Drifter because he's been seeing and saying some crazy stuff lately. And this is all being done in defiance of the Vanguard, so this Praxis Order is kind of here to kind of be oversight of everything that's happening. We've got a bunch of new villains, too, alongside the criminal syndicates and their bosses, and we just don't want to spoil too much right now. We're going to have more on the story closer to launch.
All right, so we've got smuggling, sabotaging, bounty hunting, wearing clothes, doing crime.
It's important.
Let's talk about the gameplay.
Yeah, so being an individual means crimes and clothes. We've established that going forward. So one thing to like make sure is clear here, like in the campaign that has a bunch of story missions, it's going to introduce you to also the jobs that you'll be taking in addition to those story missions within the Lawless Frontier. So you'll be kind of climbing the ranks of the criminal underworld here because the syndicates are not going to trust you out the gate. You kind of have to garner influence with them before they're going to help you out in dealing with the Imperium. And so then at the conclusion of the campaign, once that Imperium's chokehold is kind of loosened on Tharsis and the Lawless Frontier, you unintentionally kick off a turf war between the three syndicates, because now they're all vying for power because you kind of toppled the top dog of their power hierarchy. Yeah.
And so let's talk about this. In December, the Lawless Frontier is coming. It's not just like a concept, it's an activity.
Yeah, and I know we're showing something on screen right now that like is like when you go through this like daily ritual of dealing with contested territory, you'll be able to like target the syndicate you want to kind of like take down in that moment. But ultimately, the Lawless Frontier is a new activity where you'll be carrying out a variety of those missions, those smuggle, bounty hunt, sabotaging. I think you kind of can tell what they're going to be all about just with the name of them. And this is you just partnering with and against the syndicates. And so it's fast, it's tactical, and it's going to throw a ton of enemies and a variety of objectives within each of these jobs at your fire team in new locations across Mars, Europa, and Venus. This is all about big, chaotic co-op action within the Lawless Frontier. Yeah.
Cool. And then when you're working with the syndicates, like, I expect to be paid when I take on a job. Like, what are they going to be giving us?
Every criminal does.
Yeah,
right. You know what I mean? So, well, like one thing just to like talk about at the top, because Tom and I are really excited about this, the creative lead on Renegades. The Cabal have been dropping pods on your head for like 8 years now, something like that. And so with one of our Renegade abilities, we kind of get to turn the table on the Cabal and drop one on them. It also supplies you some ammo and stuff too, some nice convenience there. But the campaign ultimately like introduce you to a number of these abilities. And the turf war, you'll actually choose which syndicates you want to pledge to in order to unlock more abilities and a bigger suite of upgrades. Also, depending on which syndicate you're pledged to, there will be other bonuses and weekly shipments coming into Tharsis as well that you get to take advantage of. And so one thing I want to note too is that all of these Renegade abilities that we're talking about in the Vidoc, they're purely additive to your subclass abilities. The Renegade abilities do not override any of your other Guardian abilities. So like your super, your melee, your grenade, that's all at your disposal on top of these Renegade abilities. We really wanted to lean into the idea of this fantasy of you working with your crew and the various roles you can play within the Lawless Frontiers and all these different type of jobs that you're going to be doing.
Awesome. And then I have to give a shout out to James Sy. He's frankly one of the biggest Star Wars nerds I've ever met in my life. But he was talking about the blaster and that feel the first time he shot it. Like, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I love that blaster, and because like my personal joke is it's like Forerunner at home. It's kind of like a legendary version of that exotic, and it just feels fucking incredible. Oh, sorry, it feels incredible. Excuse me, for kids at home. So we're gonna have a weapons deep dive close to launch. I know I keep saying that. There's a ton of the Vidoc. There's even more to be talking about in the next few months. But what we can say about blasters right now is they're new, powerful weapons in your arsenal, and they actually draw ammo straight from your reserves. And so the mechanic of this is basically heating up the gun and then venting it out. So no reloading technically, but since you have to like charge up heat and you have to think about overheating, it's a whole mechanic and has its own special reload associated with it. And so it's going to be all about finding like the rhythm of pace and battle between building up heat and venting. It's really fun to play around with, and the team is really honing in on something like that feels really special and new. It's cool.
All right.
Cool, yeah.
So we're not going to go too deep on campaign because spoilers. We want to let players discover that.
Yeah.
We've talked about the Lawless Frontier, but one of the components is invasions.
Oh yeah. So you're going to unlock invasion as part of that turf war we've been talking about, and the syndicates are like reaching out to you, and they're giving you contracts to play hitman against other Guardian crews. So it's 1 versus 3. It's you versus a Guardian crew on the Lawless Frontier. And like we said in the Vidoc, invasion is 100% opt-in for both the invaders and the defending fire team crew. But don't worry, because all of the difficulty modes, there's always an option that is available to you if you don't want to engage in invasion. Yeah, we wanted to make sure that, because like even though some people love that PvE chocolate mixing with that PvP peanut butter, we wanted to make sure that if you didn't want to do that, there's always an option for you to do something else within the Lawless Frontier.
And then if you do opt in though, there's more rewards or incentive, right?
I mean, yeah, you're like asking, you're basically saying, hey, fire team, I'm open to having another Guardian come and wreck shop and mess my day up, right? And so you're taking a higher risk, so therefore there's a chance of higher reward depending on how you handle that, right?
Cool. Yeah, I mean, so that covers gameplay effectively. We do have a dungeon. We showed a little tease, but again, no spoilers. We'll let you discover that on day one. Let's talk about the last thing that players may have seen, or the first thing, honestly. We saw chat blown up. Let's talk about the saber.
Right. So, yeah, this is Destiny's homage, right? It's our love letter to the Star Wars lightsaber.
Okay.
And we're calling it the Praxic Blade. Again, we'll be sharing a whole lot more closer to launch. I'm really sorry. I feel like a parrot right now just saying the same thing. But what I can say is that the Praxic Blade is going to be highly customizable in both gameplay and visuals. And so there's going to be a ton of parts and components that you'll be chasing and discovering throughout the Lost Frontier, within the turf war, within the dungeon itself. And this is all about kind of making the Praxic Blade your own. And you saw it in the Vidoc, but the blade really does feel truly exotic right now. You can do things with it that no other weapon can do in Destiny, and I really can't wait till players get their hands on it here in a few months.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for Renegades. We have 2 more big subjects to go through today, so thanks for running us through that. Our next section is going to be all about quality of life. It's going to be about a lot of the feedback that we've been seeing in the live game since Edge of Fate launched, and then after that, we'll be talking about Ash and Iron with another cast of devs to talk about a bunch of cool stuff. So, ultimately, we have quite a lot coming over the next few months. We're going to be talking about a bunch of high-level goals, objectives, some of our philosophy. We do not have a roadmap today, but we will have a roadmap in the next few weeks outlining our road to Renegades, which I've been calling it selfishly. So we'll figure out a fancier name for it at some point, but let's dive in. I think the first thing that I want to talk about here, let me get this up. I mean, ultimately, this feels like we're having a mini community summit on stream. But let's talk about rewards. Let's talk about the portal. Let's talk about power. Let's talk about the climb and the feedback that we've been seeing.
Yeah, so to do a little bit more table setting and framing here, like we said at the top of the stream, we've been taking a lot of this feedback to heart, right? We've been listening very intently. We've been looking at our data, and Dylan, we know we need to make some changes, right? And so this is what this whole next section is going to be about. We're going to talk about a ton of stuff. Some of it, a little bit of it is going to come from Ash and Iron, a lot more in Renegades, and then even more in the future. And so coming back to the power climb, we want it to be faster, we want it to have improved rewards, and we really want it to highlight new and aspirational activities when Renegades launches. And so that means looking at the Renegades campaign and the Renegades jobs in the Lost Frontier and the activities you do there, and making sure that they both feel like great sources of seasonal power. We know with the Edge of Fate, after you completed the campaign on Kepler, that there was a bunch of cool stuff to do and some rewards to get, but it didn't fit into the seasonal power game, right? It didn't feel like it was a viable path. And so these big chaotic fire team-based jobs that we've built and all that variety we're pouring into it is going to be this engine to climb seasonal power. If you're just loving that activity, you're going to be able to spend an enormous amount of time there.
Yeah, and you touched on aspirational content. So when we look at it, you're doing the power climb, but you're looking at the end game, and our raids and dungeons are a part of that.
Yes, they are. So we are making sure here, there's 2 approaches we're taking and a bunch of work that's going to come out of it. So our focus initially here is going to be on the new raid and dungeon content in this conversation. So that is Desert Perpetual, the epic raid here in a couple weeks, and then the dungeon releasing with Ash and Iron. And so we want to make sure that those are more dependable sources of power, both from weekly challenges, some of which that are going to happen in Ash and Iron, but then also we're going to be looking at the power drops that come when you're completing encounters and looking to see if we can adjust those and juice them up a little bit. The other big area, because what we're talking about when we say aspiration is like in-game. You're doing an in-game thing. I should be rewarded for that. So with the launch of the Epic Raid for the Desert Perpetual and Epic Raid and then the dungeon afterwards, we're going to make all drops, the base drops you earn in that content, tier 3. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's ultimately attesting to like players got through some of the power grind, they went into the raid and they were seeing tier 1, tier 2 drops, and that didn't feel like endgame loot. So
it did not.
We're making this tier 3 is the baseline, but then you can build up to tier 4 and tier 5 as you add more challenge, add more difficulty.
Yeah, and sorry, I think we hit on it, but I just want to make sure. We talked about improved rewards right around some of the newer content that is coming. This effort though is also being applied across the portal itself. And so Dylan, I know you and I have talked about it a bunch. You know, we talked about solo ops, right? You mentioned Caldera.
Yeah, let's talk about variety in the portal and more reasons or more ways to play.
Yeah, exactly. And part of that, theory right here is just like that thinking is we just have to improve the rewards, right? And so a lot of what we're doing is going to be about bringing the baseline of the reward experience with Renegades up to that, closer to that solo ops experience, and also really incentivize playing in fire teams more because, hey, we know Destiny's feeling lonely right now if all you do is spend time in the mines, right? And so we want to do we know we need to do a much better job at that. The other,
just to go into that example, like we're talking about Caldera, it's a solo op activity, and players feel it is the most viable path to power. So a social game like Destiny, it is a problem where you feel like you should be playing alone for all the reasons. It's like, hey, sorry friends, you want to play raid, you want to play something else? Sorry, I'm going to go into Caldera and play alone. Yeah, we want to address that. We want to make sure Destiny is social, fun to play with friends, while still maintaining, hey, as a solo player, you can absolutely hop in, but we aren't going to make you feel worse. So example there too, we said, hey, we're going to tone down Caldera and solo ops. We're actually reverting that. We had announced it, we're taking that back, and as you said, that's the new benchmark. We're going to raise things up to feel like Caldera and feel rewarding like solo ops.
Yeah, and we've already talked about that. We're going to do some of that in Ash and Iron. One of the other things we're looking at doing in Ash and Iron right now is taking our bonus engrams and having them just more consistently award power deeper into the climb and adjusting that. We're also, this is a good segue, I think, kind of into our next area where we can talk more about reworks we're going to be doing within the game and some changes we're making. So the other thing we're going to be doing with bonus engrams when Renegades launches is they're going to feed more into a weekly ritual, a thing that you know when it launches, there's a bunch of stuff to do that's going to accelerate you in the power climb.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the effectively weekly reset, curated activities from Bungie. So you have a moment each week of, let's hop into raid night, let's do Grandmasters, things like that.
Yeah, so the thing you're speaking to, Dylan, the thing we talk about a lot is like, clan night, raid night, right? We got to get that feeling of hey, I log in on Tuesday and there's just like a bunch of stuff to look forward to. And so a few ways we're going to do that is one with a new system that we're calling Vanguard orders that comes out in Renegades. So Vanguard orders are actually this like new objective system where you're going to be, and we should have a mock-up on screen right now. It looks like our monitor isn't showing the exact right thing just for our place in the studio, so I'm just going to assume it's working. And so within these Vanguard orders, you're going to have all these different objectives that you can do, and you don't have to pick these up like bounties, right? These are things that will just be automatically granted to you when you log into the portal. And then what's really cool about these is that they pull some of that like Destiny 1 bounty vibe, where as you complete an order on the left-hand side of the screen of this here, you will actually roll. You can roll on higher tier orders, like a legendary order that will give you consistent rewards, or an exotic tier order that can give you exotic tier rewards. And so this is all about just creating a bunch more like little moments of variety within the portal and these different little objectives that you can do. We already touched on bonus engrams a little bit and how we're going to be reworking those even more with Renegades launches to feed into that idea of like, look at all these things in the portal. I know if I go and gobble up all the green engrams, I'm accelerating on my power climb, and that's much easier and clearer for players to understand. But the other place that we've been getting a ton of feedback on, and we're going to be making changes to, is the weekly conquest. So right now, we have the concept of the conquest as a milestone. Massive, like, missões específicas. We are going to be making those like, we're going to be making it repeatable, but then there's going to be a weekly reward for them.
As raids legadas, as dungeons antigas vão arrumar, só que só no Renegado, lá em dezembro.
We're going to make sure we incentivize them and create a weekly
version. We actually have a change going live today to make conquests repeatable, but the rewards component is what we need to focus on for a future update.
Yeah, and Dylan, you and I were talking about this a bunch over the last couple of days, is like we want to get back to that, like we want to get conquest closer to that GM feeling, to that Grandmaster Nightfall feeling of the past, and that's kind of like our little North Star for that. Yep. The other big thing, too, that we've been listening to feedback on and we're moving really, really fast on right now is getting weekly legacy raid and dungeon content as like a tunnel from the portal to that. So to set expectations here with Renegades, this is going to first come in the form of, hey, reasons to play this content, to do like weekly challenges and earn powerful rewards from them, right? Again, we want
Legacy, as raids antigas, as dungeons antigas que ninguém faz mais porque tá no mundo, não dá nada. Eles vão colocar ela dentro do portal também para você poder fazer.
Though, is like we hear the feedback about wanting the gear reprised from raids and dungeons. Dylan, if we could just like flip a switch and make that happen, I think we'd be more than happy to do that, but it's just not that simple. There's a bunch of work that goes into actually creating the new gear and the gear tiers. And so we are going to be looking to make the reward experience of Legacy and Raid Dungeons better as time goes on. Our first focus is making it fit into that weekly reset and into that power climb.
Yeah. And we have our first step today with Dungeon Lairs. In the portal, there are going to be three encounters coming from Legacy Dungeon content. You can get power bumps from those. You can get portal gear from those, but we hear the feedback on general rewards.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna be looking to add more to this, like what this weekly ritual feels like. These are the areas we are targeting initially here for Renegades.
All right, so let's move on to our final two subjects. Really are centered around sandbox.
Yeah.
First of which is going to be build crafting, and then the second is around just our general approach to balance. So we have another list here of. Honestly, we've been getting a ton of feedback around featured gear. We've been getting feedback around like legendary weapon tiering. What are we changing?
Yeah, so this whole space is about
Nossa, o meu fica
expanding build
passando propaganda, fica
crafting
atrasado.
and we have, we hear
isso.
y'all.
Eu
Like,
tô
we
tentando
hear
tirar
that
isso
featured
aqui,
gear
Daniel.
is far too
YouTube
restrictive
era
for
filho
how
de
you're playing the
uma-
game right now. And so one of the big changes we're making is all exotic weapons and armor are going to be featured gear starting
eu
in
coloco pra não
Renegades.
ficar, pra não
So
passar
the
propaganda,
class
isso
items, your
continua.
prismatic builds, they're back on the table. You don't have to worry
Cara, é
about it anymore.
difícil.
You're not having
Nossa,
to think about
agora
what exotic you put
todos
on. It's all about what build you want to craft, right? The
Ah,
other thing
todas
that
as
we've been
exóticas,
listening
as
to a lot when it
exóticas vai
comes to
ter
the gear chase
armas
is like,
especiais.
hey, you might earn a
Vai
tier
ter
1, 2, or
bônus
3
especiais.
weapon,
Toda
a
semana.
roll of a weapon you
Lá
really
esse
love. Your
espaço
personal
lá, o que lá
god roll, or the
do-
community saying this is a god roll, and you're looking at that and you're like, man, it's cool, but like it's not that top tier, right? And so in Shadow and Order, which is our major update coming
Ó,
after
vou aumentar as
Renegades,
armas
you're
lendárias
going to be
também.
able to enhance the tier of your legendary weapons all the way from tier 1 to tier 5 with a new currency and a new feature that we're building for those. Again, this is all about expanding that gear chase.
Yeah, and before we get ahead of ourselves, like as a player, and I'm guessing in chat, people are saying, "Oh, so I should be keeping
Oh,
my
é pra
tier
isso
1,
vai
tier 2,
ter, ó,
tier
você
3
vai
weapons.
pegar
Where
uma
am I going to put
nova
these? What's going on with vault
currency,
space?"
uma nova moedinha lá, novo
with
dinheirinho
Renegades, we
no
are going
jogo,
to give you more
para você
vault
poder
space.
arrumar
That is the
suas
thing we're
armas
gonna be
antigas
doing,
para tier
and
5.
also the team's
Ok,
working
legal.
on a pretty big update to improve the sorting and
E
filtering
as roupas
of
também, ó.
just using your
As
vault
roupas
game as
antigas
well.
também. Mais
Yeah, we'll
espaço
have
no
many
baú.
more details in the coming weeks and months when we get this
Você vai,
roadmap together. But
vai
our final
finalmente
note in this section
arrumar
before we
seu
go to
baú.
balance is the portal scoring.
Yes, yeah. So right now with the featured and new gear, there is just an intrinsic bonus that
Eu
you
quero ver
get for wearing that
o tamanho
gear.
desse
I guess
espaço.
it's
Separar aí
extrinsic because we're asking you to put it on. But
peças,
anyway,
provavelmente.
you have it on, you get a score bonus in the portal, which means you're not only thinking about like activity
E vai ter
customization,
melhorias
your build, but
nos
also now you
especiais,
have to
nos
think about the
supers e nas
score too,
subclasses.
and like, should I
Ok.
wear this or not in order to chase the high score? And for the vast majority of the experiences in the portal, we think that's just too much complexity right now. And so we are sunsetting that idea. And so again, this is going to
Pessoal, eu
drastically
tô tentando
open
resolver
up
aqui
the
os
space for
probleminhas,
you
tá?
to basically
É, isso aí é porque Shadow and Order, é porque você vai ganhar uma moedinha lá, como se fosse uma moedinha de dinheirinho, para você poder usar ela para subir a arma de level.
Y'all were talking about it. We've had a ton of
Vai me dando
conversations with
feedback
the
aí,
dev team.
pessoal.
It's
Vai me
like,
dando feedback. Tá
there's a
melhor?
lot of
Não, não tem não. As antigas não. Você pega, as ela já vem com as 3 estrelas, 2 estrelas, entendeu?
This helps that out and gets you into the fun faster.
Yes. And I'm like, we
É,
do
para você
believe
subir
in
ela de uma
CS space
estrelinha. Ela não tem nem
ways to
estrela, na
highlight
verdade.
gear and
Para você
exotics
subir ela
and
de uma
things like that,
estrelinha
you
para
know,
duas, tem
stuff
que
we've been
usar a
working on
moedinha.
for a
3,
while
4,
now.
vai usar isso aí.
We
Shadow
want
and
it to
Order,
be
a
part of the game
currency
because I think,
da
pushing
Sombra e
people
Ordem.
off of the super hot stuff is really healthy sometimes to just have more fun and experiment with things.
É a mesma
But
coisa
we
com as
know that we need
armaduras.
to find ways to make this feel like a bonus and more excitement to do it versus what
Tem
we
que ser
currently have now,
Alexandre,
which
ele
is
tá
why we're making these
traduzindo.
changes.
Awesome. Yeah, and then our last section here for quality of life.
É,
Let's
porque não
talk
tem
about
jeito, né?
sandbox
Te dar o
balance.
negócio
Y'all have
100%, né?
been really
Seria meio
taking a lot
injusto.
of the feedback to heart since the announce of quite a few nerfs and some balancing, and you have
2 horas
some
da
new
tarde.
approaches to philosophy when it comes to this.
É, mas
Yeah,
qual que é
so at
mais
the top
fácil?
here,
Cair
one of
de
the things
novo
we're
ou
doing
você
is we're
simplesmente
upgrading our
introduzir
internal
sistema e você
process
pode
for
arrumar?
how we evaluate our buff and nerf policies and also the timing of which when we go out and do those. And so a big part of that here through Renegade's launch is going to be non-critical balance changes are on pause right now. And so this is partially in reaction to obviously some of the sentiment around some of the changes we're making, but it's giving time for us to make sure that when we do start to do more balance updates a little more frequently again, we communicate honestly. We just need to do a better job about communicating about why we're changing something and some of the intent behind it. And the reason I speak about this, yeah, because you asked me this.
Ou eles vão parar com os updates de nerfar
So on
coisas.
a roll.
Aleluia,
we
né?
really want to make sure that we're still making
Se
balance
não estiver
changes where,
quebrando no
if we
jogo,
have
eles
to
vão
ban
deixar para
something
fazer como se fosse um
that
pacote a
epic
cada
raid race
3
or
meses.
dungeon race that's going to happen,
Não vai
with Renegades,
simplesmente,
right,
vou
the
tirar a
quality of
arma
that
porque
experience is
tá isso e aquilo.
incredibly important to
Ai,
us,
o problema é
and we know
confiar na
it's
Band
incredibly
que ela vai
important to
fazer
y'all.
isso mesmo, né,
And
mano?
so, again, we're putting a pause on nerfs and balance changes for now, but if we really need to change something because it's critical for those upcoming events, we'll make changes.
Yeah. And ultimately, it's like there's some things where you watch somebody go on a Titan and kill a
Não,
raid
só vai
boss in
melhorar,
2
né?
punches.
Os
Like,
especiais, porque tem
that's
algumas
critical.
classes que
That
não,
needs to be
se você
toned
não usa
down
porque é muito
or
fraca.
balanced around. But other things like we actually have a list here of we announced some tuning changes or nerfs that we're going to be reverting. Last week we were talking about Grand Overture and Queenbreaker.
Só
We're
quem tá
reverting the
fazendo
changes
a
there.
tradução
Then we had
é o
some
Lord
reworks
Anjos. Eu tô
to
deixando o
exotics
link
like
do canal
Stronghold,
dele para
Chromatic
vocês se
Fire.
inscreverem lá,
We're going
tá?
to be reverting those. And then as a part of this new initiative where we're looking at our philosophy, reevaluating how we do these
Tanto no
things,
YouTube como
we'll be looking
na Twitch.
how we approach
A
it and
força
how
pra
we
ir lá.
communicate it.
Yes, so exactly.
Cool. And then final note to end on a high, honestly, like we've been talking about nerfs and all that. Let's talk about buffs.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so we've got some buffs. We've been working with the gameplay team around
Pô, eles
suas
falaram a
and
mesma coisa
subclasses
na grande
that are
abertura,
going to
na
be
grande
coming,
abertura lá, que ela
some
foi
to Ash and Iron
nerfada,
here in
eles vão voltar
October,
ao
but then
normal.
also in December with
Finalmente,
Renegades. And
né?
I
Porque
think
ela
we've
era
been
ótima.
talking with them a little more closely actually in the last 24
Yeah,
hours.
big thank you to Ben Womack, Eric Smith, Sandbox team. A couple notes, like we saw a thread where folks were saying, hey, the original 3 supers that launched with Destiny
Vai falar
11
agora.
years ago, happy birthday.
Yeah.
They feel a bit undertuned. And I saw a note where it's like,
Ela vai falar
Word of
agora,
Dawn,
pessoal. Vai
Titan
falar
Bubble, that needs to
das
be brought up,
cinzas e
Golden
ferro
Gun. I
agora.
know Warlocks are getting some abilities changes
Yes,
too.
turrets,
So
turret changes coming very
yeah,
soon.
and grenades and other things too outside
Yeah.
of turrets. So we will have
Não,
a full list
rapidinho, né?
over the coming weeks, and honestly, it may build. We need to get our roadmap together so we know exactly which hot fixes, updates they're going to be rolling out in. But yeah, we'll be as transparent as possible with you. So to really end it and get into the awesome Ash and Iron content, thank you again to everybody that's been giving us feedback. Thank you to everybody that's been playing and diving into all the changes. We know some need work, and
Não, mas é legal, eu
we've
gosto
been
do Ash,
listening,
só
and
tem
now we're
que,
getting through
né?
the planning stages, and we're executing on a bunch of changes over the next few updates and beyond Renegades. So, Robbie, thank you for joining us. As we're going into Ash and Iron, we got to get the catch full.
É, ele tá falando que tá pedindo desculpa, tá agradecendo todo mundo
Thanks for
que
having me, and yeah,
tá jogando
we're
Dash,
listening,
que tá
and we're gonna
reclamando, tá
keep responding
tentando
to feedback,
melhorar,
so
e
thank
que
you all so
eles
much,
estão
and
tentando
let's
melhorar
get some more
também.
people on the couch. I've been talking too much.
Yeah, you
See
brought
y'all
up
later.
Vidoc. We have a trailer for Ash and Iron roll.
Let's do it.
É, então vamos começar o Ash and Iron agora.
O Ferro e Cinzas.
Aí, esse é o Iron Hack, ó. Finalmente. Plaguelands, ó. Siva vai voltar. Será? É, olha lá, todo mundo drama da Siva.
Dados de pináculo.
É, a Siva do F1, que os Guardiões
Eu
infectados
prefiro-
pelo
o pessoal
vírus
gosta, né, do estilo
tecnológico lá.
as masmorras aí, né, cara? Só os encontros, né? Tipo o Panteão.
Aí, esse aí é o que eles falaram que vai ser no Renegado, aí, ó. Exótico mito do papel,
É,
de
tem
novo.
umas novas aí. Principalmente esse Gládio, final do Titãzão aí.
Ó, é o novo modo do Crisol,
Essa aí,
provavelmente.
essa automática aí, hein, mano.
Pra você ganhar arma, Call to Arm,
Ah, vai vir.
novas armas, ok.
Aí, ó, a nova... Como é que chama isso aí? É o que? Uma Gládio? O que é isso aí, mano? Uma lança?
Olha só, o machado
All right, welcome
do
back.
cara lá vai voltar.
In about 20 minutes, the content from that trailer is going live. Let's talk about Ash and Iron.
É a lança
We have a
do
bunch
cara
of
lá.
really cool
Lança,
stuff
né?
coming with a new activity called Reclaim. We have a new
Machadão, né?
Começa hoje.
activity that's going to be giving you some insight into the narrative. We also have an exotic mission coming
Eu
in
fiquei
October.
de olho
Team's
na
finishing up on
besta
that. We're super
e
excited for the
no
weapon that's
automático,
associated
cara.
with that. And we actually have some
Interessante.
updates to recurring events like Iron Banner, Arms Week, Festival of the Lost, and
Ó,
more.
tem uma exótica
without
nova.
further ado, hello, welcome to our couch, wonderful developers. Some of you have been here before, but Noah, first on the couch, this is your
Manteve,
first
eu
time.
acho, viu,
Yeah, no, I'm
Patrick?
super happy to be here.
Yeah, welcome.
Porque o negócio de arma lá vai voltar, a competição para pegar armas lá vai voltar, a bandeira de ferro vai voltar.
While my title is like officially working on the armor team, I do work in exotic armor from time to time, but you find me more commonly working on the seasonal artifacts, like the one for Heresy, the current one for Season of Reclamation. Both those are mine. But I've also branched out and I've gotten to do a pretty cool exotic weapon in this release as well.
Awesome. Next on the couch, Jerome, welcome back.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Yeah, really quick, let's get a summary. Who are you? What do you do?
I'm Jerome. I'm a
Servidor só as 2
narrative,
horas que
so
solta.
É Siva Reclamation mesmo. A Siva vai voltar mesmo. Ok.
cutscenes, and we plan the overall story for Destiny 2.
Awesome. Last but not least, Clayton, welcome
Hey.
back. I believe you were
Não,
last here for Revenant and,
ele acabou de falar que ele está trabalhando em novas armaduras e armas para a Siva Reclamation.
on those streams.
Já falou sim,
Preparação da
Patrick.
Siva.
So I'm a design lead here for the activities and events area on Destiny 2, and in the past I've been an activity designer or feature owner for activities like Onslaught or Coil or Seraph Shield. So it's been really fun getting my hands dirty.
Esse cara aí, o carequinha, tá fazendo. Ele é o design que faz os eventos e as atividades do jogo.
So as we're diving through some stuff, we already have gameplay rolling. This is our new activity Reclaim. But Jerome, let's talk about narrative. How are things kicking off?
For sure. Well, Maya Sundaresh, the conductor,
Já falou das temporadas
has
acima.
somewhat overextended herself on Kepler during the events of Edge of Fate. And she foolishly tried to meddle in the affairs of the Nine and essentially assassinated 3 of the 9, which is the 3 of Earth.
3 being a single entity, right?
Yes, exactly. And that's going to have huge knock-on effects for the people of Earth.
Ah, a Maya que é culpada, ó. Ela tentou se meter com os 9 e isso aí aconteceu, a Siva, basicamente.
Maya is somewhat depleted, right? And she is starting to
A Maya.
lose control over her collective. She's starting to bleed individuals at the edges of her collective, and those are the pants-wearing, poker-playing thecks that you saw.
Crime. Yeah.
Exactly. And so she needs to reassert control over her collective.
Isso é tudo assim, isso é tudo ali da. Vai começar hoje.
Maximize the power of her waning echo of command. And the best tool for that job.
Essa aqui é a parte. Essa aqui todinha começa hoje. Os eventos, as atividades, a exótica nova que vai lançar.
Which is why Ashen Iron begins with a defense
O Call to Arms, o evento de armas novas também, que você tem que competir para ganhar armas novas. Começa hoje. O Iron Banner não falou ainda, mas parece que volta semana que vem.
A start, but not sufficient for her plans. So she will need a fully functional war set network to really expand her reach. And there's only one place where you can find that, and that's in the Plaguelands, which is where most of Ashen Iron takes place.
Para você liberar as
Speaking
áreas.
of the smash and grab, when players first sign in for Ashen Iron, they're going to see a node that they can launch for the introductory mission. It's not auto-launched. You're going to
Cadê? O meu tá atrasado, eu tenho que ver aqui.
But after that, you'll hop into Reclaim. Those are going to be some new activities. And Clayton, let's get a quick overview. What are players seeing on the screen?
Yeah, so Reclaim is our new
Ah, é verdade.
activity.
Eu vi aqui, é verdade. Você vai poder liberar.
Like Jerome was saying, going into the Plaguelands, stopping
Os aspectos
Alliance
do
forces
Encoraçado.
from taking Golden Age tech and reclaiming those areas, those territories. And so you notice that there's a lack of Fallen, but we, through our like ambient combatants and our environmental storytelling, you'll know a little bit more about what has happened there, how Maya's come
Contanto que eu não trago
You'll see
enfraquecimento.
some of them trying to fight back to get in because they think that's their land, right? And as a player, you're trying to go
Tem
in there
enfraquecimento que você não cura.
play in a similar way that you might find like Overthrow, where we took a lot of inspiration from. So you get to choose how you want to fill that progress bar. Do you want to finish a bunch of encounters that are randomly generated, which adds to a bunch of replayability? You can progress by finding
a meta basicamente é isso aí.
high-value targets. There's collectibles in there as well. All without like a timer, so you and your fire team can strategize and take your time to go through the area. Awesome. And then once you've completed the area, unlike Overthrow, you move to
Esse
the
fuso de
next
pulso que
area
tá usando aí,
by way
mano.
of
A meta aqui, o teu bunker, ele tá invadido pelos os robozinhos aí. A meta é você pegar o máximo de pontos de pressão, o máximo de pontos que tá sendo subjugado pelos robôs aí, para você liberar o bunker completinho para você pegar recompensa. Quanto mais você fizer, mais recompensa será no final. É basicamente o mesmo evento que tem lá no planeta, o novo lá. Qual é o planeta lá da testemunha? Que eu não lembro mais.
Amplified, thank you. Yeah, just the whole time. So, yeah, have fun.
O plano é o mundo do viajante lá, que você tem, lá tem 4 levels de dificuldade, você vai ter que matar basicamente 4 levels. Faz 1000 pontos, mata todo mundo, 1000 pontos, aí vem um chefe. Aí mata de novo, level 2, mata 1000 pontos, vê o chefe. Aí tem o quinto, é o chefe principal, se você conseguir chegar e para liberar o bunker completo e pegar a recompensa final. A recompensa máxima, no caso.
And the themes, though it's not explicit, so they'll have to use a little detective work, we hope, but it will give a lot of information about what's to come.
Got it. So
Porque cada chefe ela vai dar uma recompensa, mas a recompensa máxima mesmo no final. Você liberar o bunker completo.
Let's talk about weapons. Let's talk about the loot. And Noah, now it's time for the spotlight to go on you. First up, let's talk about the exotic that's going to be in the rewards for Ashen Iron. This is going to be our pulse rifle.
Yeah, so new Malpais is going to be our reward pass exotic for this release.
Armas novas, armas novas. Vamos falar sobre armas.
The Edge of Fate, we released a rocket frame pulse rifle, Mint Retrograde, that people have really taken to a liking for.
E a recompensa desse Ashen Iron, basicamente, é o arma exótica, Swift Pulse.
So you may notice from the gameplay that this rocket pulse doesn't just shoot like the micro rockets, it shoots sticky bombs. And these will stick onto the environment, they'll stick onto enemies, and when you hold down your special reload button, they'll pop like little firecrackers. And it's really fun to just sort of like spray them out across like a group of guys, and then you like turn around, walk away from them, click the button, and have them like pop
Ele solta granadinha que cola agora, é igual como se fosse mini mísseis.
But you can also stick these to your teammates, right?
I guess you'll have to see.
All right.
Okay, so
let's talk about the next exotic.
É a Telestra exótica. Esse aí vai atirar aquela bala da Telestra uma por uma. Você pode atirar onde você quiser ela.
Yeah.
Aí ela explode.
Yeah, so the exotic
Esse vai ser bom, eu acho.
You know, way back with Rise of Iron, like as a player, I remember like
Só que ele é de pulso, esse aqui é de pulso, esse aqui não é. É igual o pulso que o Elias gosta aí, mas porque esse aí é exótico. Não, mas esse aqui, ele atira balas explosivas que colam no chão.
So when I heard that we were going to be doing a little return to the
Marretona aí, ó.
like I'm going to twist whatever arms necessary to finally get the thing that I know I want and I've seen other people want for ages. So yeah, I can confirm
that's a espada do Saladinha.
Our new exotic weapon.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think for Clayton and Jerome,
o machado do Saladinha.
Since this exotic mission, the team is finishing up.
Nossa, porque
it'll be launching in October. So let's just give a
Nossa, ele escolhe explosivo? É isso mesmo?
About what's the premise?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, Maya wants to expand her reach, and the best way to do that is like the same way you would
ela
with the
solta essa onda de fogo no chão lá. É igual aquela lança do Saladinha tem.
And so she is going to be looking to get her hands on Warsat technology, which is why we'll be working with Saint 14 and Anna Bray throughout the season. Saint 14 is sort of our tactical expert, and then Anna, as with her association of Rasputin, having the subject matter expertise on Warsats.
Awesome.
And not to get too deep into spoilers, but you will be working with 3 of Kayatol's Scions specialists.
Olha lá, e libera o baú se você matar o chefe. É basicamente isso aí, olha lá. Você vai matando o chefe da área até liberar a área inteira ou o bunker inteiro para você pegar a recompensa máxima.
We also have a slate of legendary weapons that are going to be coming out. We have some armor sets in the portal that are going to have brand new.
Invasão do 10 de 1, mas lá não era por ponto, né? Isso é mais as invasões que tem lá no Viajante.
Yeah. So with Ashen Iron, we as Sandbox were like taking a look at some exotics we wanted to bring up, and we talked about Mida and Sturm getting some updates to bring them up to that modern parity. But like when those weapons came out during year 1, they came with their paired weapons, and like during that time, you know, it made sense, you know, like have 2 primaries. That was what the game was. So when we were taking a look at like bringing them up to modern Sandbox standards, we were like, well, probably hit it for the paired weapons as well too. So we took a look at some of our other special archetypes and we're like, what could we set up for this? So with this release, we've talked about them, I believe, in the TWID, but we have a rocket frame Drang Unfall and a new like lightweight Mida macro tool shotgun. And both of them have perk pools that kind of key off of being those paired weapons. So like Mida macro tool is Discord and French really fun to like run that with Mida, because then you have like, you know,
porque tá melhorado, eles estão renovando as armas.
then you switch and you have Discord proc, and you like slap a guy, and then you just are able to like pump into a bunch of
Esse rifle de
dudes.
pulso aí.
And it's got
É
really
igual ele
cool
falou
drone animation for
anteriormente, as
racing
armas
weather back
antigas vão
during 30th
melhorar.
anniversary, so you get that cool,
Agora
like,
não, mas vai
cowboy
melhorar
draw.
depois. O
And
produzido
it's
é
just,
desenvolver.
it's so fun to run
And the
around with.
sidearm is arc,
E
correct?
provavelmente
It is
essa
our second,
season, essa semana, vai ser
rocket-frame
pulso.
sidearm. It's got a pretty big
Pulso
mag
e
size, so
fusão.
instead of volt shot on this one, it has jolting feedback, which is pretty fun to plug a couple rockets into a guy and have them jolted, and then pop them with like a really powerful sturm shot.
Awesome. Yeah, and these are going to be added so through the portal. Reclaim is going to be living in the portal in the fire team area.
Essa aí
And that's
também é
where you're
bem
gonna earn
filé,
some of these.
tá?
We also have Crucible Ops is going to be the source of the shotgun, and then a couple other things as well that you'll discover in just a few minutes here. So let's move on. Our last conversation, or our last topic of the day is going to be around.
Ok, então se você estiver usando as duas, a Sturm e essa aí, ela vai encher na outra, você pode
Vai ter um
sincar uma com a outra.
tipo de combinação
E
das
essa
armas.
aí, isso aí é de raiva. É porque essa aqui, você usa essa aqui, e se você tiver Sturm na outra mão, ela vai carregar a Sturm na outra mão. Aí você usa a Sturm e provavelmente a Sturm deve ganhar alguma coisa para encher essa aqui também. Ou seja, você só fica trocando uma pela outra, nunca vai ficar sem bala.
Yes, it will have event home. Same slew of things where daily
A outra vai carregando.
weekly challenge. You'll have your reward track. We have a hand cannon coming in there. We have an armor set.
É, esse também é um que lançou lá uns 3 anos atrás.
Yeah, I believe we redacted the new set bonuses for Iron Banner, but I've heard they're actually quite fun.
Pretty cool.
É, mas a Sturm, acho que a galera tem. Quem não tem a Sturm, tem. A Sturm é uma sidearm que você usa na segunda mão também.
Não seria, né, Daniel, se eles fizessem isso com mais
Não, eu
armas.
tô falando da galera aqui mesmo.
Fizesse isso aí com mais armas também, né? Não só Sturm.
Yeah.
Ela é
Yeah,
fácil
we're
de
taking a
pegar.
look at shotguns this time around. So much like during the prior Arms
Tomei uma
Week,
pistolinha,
we
mano.
will also have a cool slate of shotgun mods this time around. My favorite of which, when the designer who was working on them, Taylor Bjorndal, who was on the stream before,
Não, essa
when we started
arma
working on them, me and him were
específica,
sort of
a
bouncing ideas
Fanfall
back
lá,
and
a
forth.
Fall,
And
ela
I was,
funciona com a
you know,
Sturm.
I was talking about like old rapid fire frame shotguns when they had like the really fast rate of fire. And I was
É,
like,
não é com
"Hey, what
qualquer
if a
arma não,
shotgun shot like
essa
that?"
ali,
Não,
a
é o que eu
Fanfall lá,
acabei
só
de
funciona.
falar.
I got the message.
Seria
What the
legal
hell
elas,
is
se eles
Fort
fizessem isso com mais armas, né?
Oh, Bjorn, you
Combinações com
mad
mais
ok,
armas.
seria,
It is
verdade.
really entertaining
Não só
to
com a
take a
Sturm,
slug
ok?
shotgun and have it shoot that fast.
Yeah, and we saw a lot of
só
celebration
nela.
with these volatile mods for hand cannons during that week. So with shotguns, we have the one that's effectively going to be Fourth Horseman everywhere.
Yeah.
But we have a couple more too,
Yeah.
and we'll leave that for players to discover
It's going
soon.
to be super awesome.
Next up on the slate, we have Festival Lost is going to be coming back during Ash and Iron, and we have a preview of our armor sets. So these are armor ornament sets. Y'all voted on these earlier
Os
in the year
ornamentos
last year,
chegando.
and we had to show them. They look
Great
awesome.
votes.
I cannot wait to have
Ó,
those
o
roses
Festival
on my
dos
shoulders.
Perdidos, dos Mortos,
But with Festival Lost, we have some new
vai
activity
voltar.
content, correct?
That's right. The Headless
Cara, eu achei
Ones have
maneiro aí
broken out of Haunted Lost
meta
Sector
aí, mano.
Jail. Because of that, we have new activities. So we have a new PvE 6-player activity called Haunted Altars. And then we have a new PvP activity
Ó, o
called
Festival dos Perdidos vai voltar e vai ter atividades para ele também.
It's going to be a 2-week-long activity. We have 2 new weapons, new Reprise weapon. You'll have your reward track, event home, the whole shebang. I'm very excited. It is very fun to play in those activities.
Awesome.
So it's chaos, just all chaos.
And then the last
Agitado
on
de
our
6
list, so
pessoas, ok?
Jerome, we have a new
Vai ter um modo
event called
PVP e um modo
Call to
PVE.
Arms that's going to be coming at the end of Ash and Iron. Can you give us a quick overview?
E não é aquela
Sure,
atividade
we're
que
gonna
era
be
antigamente,
working
provavelmente.
with
Porque eu acho que a gente tá
Devon
mostrando
King,
agora.
who has been holding down the EDZ for the better part of a decade without a ghost, right? Doing it all in one life. And he'll be taking some much-deserved R&R in the tower and being our liaison to the foundries. We have to remember that most of the guns that
A atividade vai ser na EDZ.
are designed and produced in the last city. Of course, we know that they're actually designed and produced here with the sandbox team.
What do you mean? Cassoid's in-house.
That's right.
É,
Mr.
e esses
Casper,
pontos
right
que tá
there.
mostrando no videozinho agora é que cada
we will
ponto desse aí
be
tem um
working
chefe
with
para você
Devon
derrotar,
to stress test
para você liberar
the
a área,
latest and greatest
área
in gear
completa.
from the foundries and the guardians that can push their gear the furthest and get the most out of it will reap the greatest reward. So there's a competitive aspect to it as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about this competitive aspect, the Call to Arms is going to be a ton of rewards, legendaries, some cosmetics for anyone to earn, but then we have kind of some cosmetics at the top for our hardcore, so to speak, to really earn. And Clayton, I think you were talking about a helmet?
Yeah, we have a helmet ornament. It is fantastic looking. when you equip it, if you're in that top earner,
É,
you'll
pelo
have
menos
this,
tá
like,
fazendo alguma
tail of
atividade
o
dentro das áreas que
novo
nem
modo
você visitava
PVP
mais,
que vai
né?
like the
lançar lá no
trial
festival
glows, these
dos
flames signify
dos
that you
perdidos.
are a top
É pra você liberar arma e
As I
cosmético.
load into the tower,
Legal.
I'm going to see this guy with a giant fiery mohawk. And
Yeah.
I'm going to know, okay, they were top of called armor.
impressed and scared at the same time.
But then we have some cosmetics, like I said, for just general players too. Like I believe there's an exotic ornament for the pulse rifle on the reward track, and a bunch of other things to earn too. So
We
É.
have daily login rewards as well, and we have vouchers
É,
that
só
will
pra
actually
isso.
help set you up for the next season.
awesome. Yeah, well, thanks for the quick overview. We will definitely have more information in the Twit about this new event. And as we're going through Ash and Iron, we'll have an update before each of these events to give you a quick a recap of what we've been talking about today. So just to end it up as well, we have a brand new crossbow that's going to be coming in. So our first crossbow was introduced through raids. And this one is going to be through our events.
Ah,
To
ok.
start,
Não,
it's gonna be
não é
a low
agora,
drop
não.
chance
É
for
depois do
any of
Ash
the events
Iron.
that we just covered.
Festival do
And
LoL
then in
é quando? É em
Call of Arms,
novembro,
we
não é?
focus this thing to really hammer on getting those rolls. And Noah, what's the
Não,
damage type
Festival
on
do
this?
Perdido, é
so we've
Halloween.
seen it
É
in
a
the
mês que vem,
gameplay.
né?
It's going to be a stasis crossbow, and obviously with a stasis
Outubro.
weapon comes stasis perks. And I'm very happy to say that it does have chill clip, and it in fact does freeze in 2 shots. And oh my god, there's such like a fun play pattern of like you pop a guy twice with it, they freeze, and then if you have
Silas.
serrated bolts, you run up and you pull them out of him, and the serrated bolts do damage and cause him to pop. So you just like put him in a major, and you cause him to explode and hit all the dudes around him. And it was an oddly fun play pattern of just running around and blasting people that I got quite a few giggles out of in playtests.
I can't wait. So again, to say it, today with our new territories event, you can get
Não,
this to
não,
drop.
ele
It
tá
will
falando
be a
dessa aí
low drop
agora.
chance,
Essas
but
bestas
over
aí,
the
por
course of
exemplo,
the
você
rest of the
atira
season
no
with each
cara,
event,
ela
more
congela o
chances,
cara,
the call to arms, you
você
can
vai lá e
focus it
tira a
along with
flecha
up gear,
manualmente, o cara
and
explode.
really go hard for the roll you want.
And it has a holofoil in
And a holofoil and call to arms as well.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the end of our
Essa é uma
show.
besta nova que tem, ó,
thank you all
nova
for
que
joining
vai
us
ter
on
no
the
jogo.
couch. Thank you all for joining us at home. We hope you enjoyed the Vidoc. The Renegades pre-orders are live now, and as we said at the top of the show, we have some new pre-order incentives that also apply to the Year of Prophecy folks that purchase that edition.
Isso aí.
A new legendary ship, a new legendary emblem, and then, yeah, in 3 minutes here, we have Ash and Iron launching. So thanks for coming in. Hope you enjoy the rewards. We'll have more details on our quality of life updates over the next few weeks and a roadmap coming soon. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Can't thank you enough. And if you want to stick around, we're going to be handing off the stream to Mactix. Good friend. He's
Ok,
great at
acabou.
Destiny,
É isso aí,
so
pessoal.
sometimes,
É isso aí.
I
E
get
outra, ele
questions
acabou de
PvP
falar aí que
prowess,
quem
but
comprou a
love the
exótica,
guy.
até onde
So,
eu entendi,
thanks for joining.
tem
Have a
mais
good day.
coisa para você comprar, pagar mais, se você quiser todos os bônus que ter. Eu vou dar uma olhada na internet depois. Aparentemente, mesmo que nós compramos a edição de luxo, não todo.
Bora lá. Pessoal, valeu demais. Eu quero novamente agradecer ao Lorde. Quero deixar o canal dele aí para você se inscrever no canal, dar aquele apoio. Tá, pessoal? Dá o apoio lá ao Lorde. Temos que chegar a 1000 inscritos lá no canal dele. Fez a tradução aí, meio que na hora. Nós conseguimos regular aqui. Nas próximas vamos regular melhor. Mas dá um apoio aí pro Lorde. Entra lá no canal dele. Ele tem umas variações lá. Ele não só joga Destiny 2. Ele faz review lá de vários jogos. E é bom você conhecer certos jogos que está entrando no momento. Então vá lá, se inscreva no canal, dá aquele apoio, dê aquele apoio para o Lorde, ok? Tá aí o link no YouTube e tá também o link aí na Twitch, beleza? Falou, valeu e fui, pessoal. Daqui a pouco estamos aí, hein? Já, novamente aí com reset semanal. Falou e fui, pessoal.